You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Kallander and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 84 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yagi, and I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah, you are. How's it going, Andy?
I'm doing good, Kayla. Just enjoying the sunshine. We're halfway through the week and a little bit of a short week. We took off for just a little bit. We have kind of a family back to school tradition where we go down to the Twin Cities, go stay at the Great Wolf Lodge, which is a big overpriced indoor water park hotel, almost like a casino for kids in the Twin Cities, and go to the Mall of America and go to Nickelodeon Universe. The girls loved it. They get wolf ears, of course. They give them out because it's Great Wolf Lodge. So we had a really good time. So kind of was here for half the day on Monday, was gone all of Tuesday, and then got back today. So yeah, kind of a nice little trip. And you know, it's such a small world. I think last year I ran into, every year we end up running into somebody at MOA or Great Wolf. And so last year, I remember 2 years ago, ran into somebody from the area who we know. Last year, ran into a real estate agent from Fargo who I'd worked with but never met in person. And then this year I ran into, all of a sudden I'm walking down the hall and I get punched in the arm as I'm going by. And I see one of my classmates from mortuary school who lives up in northwestern Minnesota. Nick is his name. He owns a few homes up there. Probably haven't seen him for like 15 years, but
my gosh,
instantly knew who it was. So it was kind of
crazy.
Kind of funny. It's a small world, Kayla.
It is. Okay, when was mortuary school for you? Can we just tell the audience so they know?
Sure. Well, I'll put it in a timeline that you understand. So you know how you and I went to NDSU from 2009, and then you graduated in 2009, correct?
Yep. We were at graduation together, Andy.
Yeah, we were. That's right. Anyway, so then right after that, I went to the U for 2 semesters. Well, 2 regular and then a summer semester, and interned in the Twin Cities, worked down there for a little bit, and then came back up to West Central Minnesota.
Love it. That's so fun though when you run into people and it doesn't feel like time has passed. It's like you just catch up. Our friend Amy Olmscheid, I don't know if you remember her. Yes, of course you do. Anytime I see her, I'm like, it's just like you step back into it, and that's awesome. And that just is a testament to like the relationships made. So
yeah, it was fun. I mean, sometimes I'll run into people, and even, you know, coming off my 20-year reunion, there were some people, I mean, most people you kind of recognize, a couple not so much, and or sometimes like you come across so many people. Like I sometimes need to stand and visit with someone, you know, maybe for even a minute, and then it just clicks. But then there are just some people that you don't skip a beat. And like even this individual, I wasn't all that close even in school with them, but, you know, knew him decently well. I mean, he was kind of my area. So I saw him right away and just hasn't changed. And so
I love that. It must be a well-attended lodge if you're running into people. This overpriced lodge.
Yeah, I think it is. I would say if they were pup friendly, which I think they are animal friendly, but not in the pool, I would say go there. But your pups probably, they're so used to going in water, they'd be sad looking through the glass and not being able to go down the water slides.
Oh, I'd put them down the slides and get kicked out. It'd be fine.
What's new with you?
You know, it's just one of those things where it hits you this time of year that summer is slipping. Do you know what I mean? Like you can feel it. I can hear the crickets. It's happening. And I'm still shocked that it's school week for some schools. And yeah, I mean, it just feels like things have gone so quickly, but you know, we're still at the lake. We're still going down. We're still going to enjoy it. And Fargo's going to get busier because of school starting and everything like that. So nothing crazy new for me. No new dogs, nothing like, you know, wild, but, you know, just the different feels, smells, and vibe in the area. I'm just really noticing it this year.
Sure. Yeah. I'm finding that as I go through, I appreciate it a little bit more. I appreciate, you know, the seasons in fall and even like kids going back to school. I mean, okay, the time is great, but I'm really looking forward to a little bit more structure and just normalcy in terms of schedules. My wife, I mean, is a great mom in that she just likes to, keep everybody busy and like, hey, we're going here and we're going there and going to go see some family in Duluth this weekend, for instance. But it sometimes gets overwhelming from time to time just because there's just so much to do, and then lumping, the busyness of real estate and everything else, it, can be challenging.
Yeah. And I think when it's not that structure, I mean, it's got to be difficult. You know what I mean? It's like that structure just kind of keeps you almost enjoying life a little more just because you know what to expect. The kids are routine and yeah. And so I think a lot of parents are probably welcoming this whole new school back to school so much more. So.
Right, for sure. Hey, Kayla, I noticed something online. One of your favorite charities just kind of had an event. Homeward Animal Shelter. Did you have any involvement with this?
Yeah, I attended. If you scroll through, you'll see a picture way in there. There's 262 photos. But Sharon and I both went, and it was rescue pets. It was people's, own dogs dressed up. And it was such a great event. I was so impressed. It was at Brew Halla in Fargo. And all proceeds obviously went to Homeward Animal Shelter, but it was so fun. These dogs were dressed up and like walked around, and you could bid on the dog, and the money would go to the nonprofit. And it was just a very well attended event, and I thought it was a great time. And yeah, there we are. Yeah, just hanging out in VIP.
I have a question. So when you go to a show of sorts, and the dogs come and they're strutting their stuff, or the model is usually they call it a catwalk. Is it so-called a catwalk at an animal shelter?
Good question. I mean, probably like the dog walk, but probably. But it's a good time, and they're such a great organization. And as you've seen, I mean, a lot of our clients have dogs. A lot of people buying houses have dogs, want dogs. Like it's part of almost every family I talk to has a pet, a dog, a cat, a lizard, something. And so, I mean, we help dogs get homes too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people often say that, they love their pet more than, their human relatives or their kids, which I guess coming off of a couple of nights staying in a hotel with 3 kids, and I, at times I can appreciate that, and it would have been better to have a dog sitting in the corner, but one forgets it.
Yeah, right.
I did notice that you threw me kind of some stats that way, and I wouldn't have ever have thought, because oftentimes we talk about why are people making a change? Well, obviously it starts with a goal. But a lot of it's the 3 Ds: death, divorce, diapers, people moving up. But I didn't realize that there were so many people purchasing their homes because of their dog. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. Like, how many people, Kayla?
Yeah, well, in just like a recent study that I had pulled from, this one's from realtor.com, but 43% of millennials, so our age, who purchased homes said their dog was their primary reason. So, I mean, it ranks higher than marriage or kids in some of those surveys. And it got me thinking, and if you look at this graph, it's a Zillow survey found that 46% of Americans consider dog-friendly features. And I'll be honest, when we built our house, we were talking about the size of the windows. We were talking about the yard. We literally built our house around what our dogs wanted, which sounds crazy, but anytime I do an intake call with a client, before they even apply, I ask them a lot of information about themselves, but also, do you have any children? And do you have any pets? And I also ask, what's the reason that you're wanting to, create home ownership? What's this next step look like, and why? And nearly everybody says, I want a bigger yard for my dog, or I want to get a dog for the kids. And I just love that stat. It like warms my heart because I'm a dog lover. And yeah, I mean, there's people that have, apartments and dogs in there, and it's not a life for them. Now, maybe small ones, yes, it's fine. And you figure it out, but there's nothing better. And I said this to a client this morning, there's nothing better than opening your door to the backyard and letting your dog run out. And you get to do that with home ownership. And we just don't talk about it as much as I feel like we should. So
I'll say I appreciate the responsible pet owners that actually do look at this and kind of include their pets, when they're thinking about it, because, I think all too often, and you probably don't see this as much in Fargo because, you're in the metro, right? But when you're in more rural areas, the lines are blurred between, hey, having a dog out on a rural farm property that just runs and being in the city. And, just the encounters that we have, and especially with young children, of people that are not good pet owners and let their dogs run and let them bark and let them jump and whatever. I think those people, they don't have the right house for them, or they don't have the right pieces, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And we see it often. And we even see, people that, have their dogs in crates all day. And that breaks my heart. And yeah, some dogs, have anxiety, things like that. But I mean, it's really important to look at, your situation. Not everyone can afford a house or wants a house, but it does shine a light on people when it's like, hey, I want a new home to give my dog a better life. Like, oh, I just love that. So
right on. No,
nice little stat. We're gonna get you a dog, Andy.
We talk about it, but I think Katie and I are on the same page about not having to worry, like when we travel, and just seeing like all the people around us, all of the, the provisions that need to be made. And the fact that daycare has one, sometimes two dogs, does make a difference too. So,
yeah. Okay.
Hey, Kayla, I wanted to bring something else that you shared with me, just because we just talked about running into people or knowing people and how it's a small world. So we see in the news, or a lot of people have seen in the news recently, the Minnesota Vikings being under fire over male cheerleaders. And some people are probably out there rolling their eyes saying, well, what does this have to do with real estate? And we're just kind of talking about this all of a sudden. And I love that you brought this up to me, Kayla, but you actually know one of the Vikings male cheerleaders.
I do. I can't believe you put this up. I love it. So Blaze is actually was my hairstylist. So he's the responsible one for my Scandinavian hairline, we call this, the blonde. But yeah, really great guy. Such good energy. But yeah, that's at Blush Salon. And I thought it was just wild because he told me he was going to be trying out for the Minnesota Vikings cheerleaders. And I thought right away he meant like the team. And I was like, oh, and then he got to tell me, and I'm like, that's awesome. So I didn't know he'd make it. And then I find out he's just a really great, amazing, fantastic dancer. So more power to him. I mean, you do you. And honestly, like, we should be more concerned about the Vikings winning a Super Bowl. Like, sorry. But
well, it's preseason, so I guess since we haven't gotten into the meat and potatoes of sports, and I'm not much of a sports guy in the first place, so I can really care less. But I guess people are getting a little bit concerned about it.
Wild. Well, I love it. Yes, he worked at Blush, and he was a fantastic hairstylist. Let me tell you. So,
and how did you ever start working with him, kind of as your stylist?
Blush Salon is team-based, so you would go there. And so do you see how there's multiple people helping with your hair? By the way, I'm not sponsored by Blush. I don't get paid by them. But what's really cool about Blush Salon is you can go in and it's a lot easier to get in because multiple people work on you. So 2 people will blow dry you, 1 will shampoo, 1 will color. And it's like you've got 5 people on one. So he was one that was there, and he just really did a great job with my highlights. So here we are.
Very cool.
Missing him dearly.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that tidbit. Kayla, really quick, what are rates doing right now? Because everyone is always curious about rates.
Yeah, they've remained pretty flat this week. I think last week, Andy, we were at 658. We're at 661 this week for a conventional 30-year fixed. Now, here's the deal. If your score is 679 and you're buying a condo or what have you, it's not going to look like that. It's going to look a little different. But we're seeing rates, I locked someone into a refi at 5.75. Depends if you want to pay down the points, but you can see an FHA loan is right above 6%. So North Dakota housing, we're seeing very similar. So it's, there was a podcast I was listening to this morning talking about what's it going to take for home buyers to actually buy a house, like to actually take that leap. And they're saying it has to be under 6. And what kind of is crazy to me is I think it's just like the number, the thought of under 6. But, I quoted someone today, the difference in 0.125% in a rate was $29 for their scenario. So truly, if that's what it's taking is under 6% to then go forward, I would encourage people to have conversations and talk about what that means for actual dollars. Because it's really easy to get fixated on those interest rates, like 6.5 versus 5.5. Well, what does it actually equate to? So again, this week they've been pretty stable, and we like that. We like some stability, but we've seen some refis. We've seen some people come out, and at the end of the day, the people that are in contract into a home, offer accepted, they're the ones that are taking advantage of those rates right now because they can lock them. If you don't have a house picked out or an offer accepted, you can't lock them. So you need to go through the process of pre-approval, working with a realtor, finding a home, writing an offer, and that can take, Andy, 30, 60 plus days. So there's no perfect timing, but rates have performed a little bit better than we've seen in probably about 6 months.
Sure, for sure. And maybe just a final tidbit, because I know you've got a busy schedule and are up against the clock today, Kayla. But I came upon this article that kind of goes hand in hand with it, which when we talk about the market and what are we going to see this year, talks about Fannie Mae dialing back their expectations by 220,000 homes. So I just pulled this graph from the article really quick. So looking at 2025, I mean, we're going to be fairly level, slightly down. In terms of new home sales, existing sales are up just marginally. Next year, again, they're hoping for a higher number of sales, but it also talks about rates a little bit. So last month, Fannie Mae economists were forecasting that mortgage rates would hit 6.4% by the end of this year, 6% by the end of 26. Driving that are expectations for a slightly cooler economic growth and hotter inflation. So but you say that that 6 is the magic number, and I guess we're probably not going to quite get there by the end of the year, hence the lower projections.
And we have to be careful because it's like, we keep dreaming and we keep dreaming, oh, rates are coming, and it was survive 2025 or, get to 25. And a lot of people were told, we talked about this last time, to date the rate. Well, people, I think, got into interest rates that they thought they'd be out of in 6 months to a year. And so I'm telling people right now, Andy, if you like it, lock it. If you like the savings, if you like the payment, lock it in. And if we can refinance you later, so be it. But remember, there's costs to refi. There's break-even points to consider. And so ultimately, though, if home ownership is feeling like it's the right step for you, I'm not finding rates keeping those people off the fence, or on the fence, I should say. They're like, no, this is going to happen. And there's almost this okayness, this like realization that if I want home ownership, I'm going to have to pay this rate, but they're finding other ways to save money or to pay things off or just make it happen because that's what they want for their family.
Lock and load.
Lock and load. Let it lock it.
Just do it.
Just do it. I'm going to put that on my business card. Just lock it.
I like it. Well, Kayla, like I said, I know you're up against the clock, so I think that wraps up our slightly condensed episode 84 of the It's Real podcast. Thanks for all of the knowledge, for sharing your Vikings cheerleader connection, and so much more.
You're welcome, Andy. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you, Kayla.
Bye.